name's Claire, and I love all things overland travel. In March 22, I spent 2 weeks travelling around Belize. In this video, I'm going to detail what to expect when crossing the Mexico-Belize land border.
Morning! So we are going on an adventure today, crossing the first international border, overland international border since 2019, which is crazy. We're currently in South Mexico in a city called Chetumal, and we're crossing the border to Belize. So we are going to take a taxi to the border and then we're going to cross on foot. Obviously it's a bit complicated because of COVID and everything. We have to do tests, we have to get special insurance, then there's the normal border protocols. So I'm not that excited about it. I think it's going to be a bit stressful, but we have already done a negative lateral flow here just to check we were okay, and that was all fine. So hopefully it'll all be good. It's about 7:30 now, and we're going to get a taxi to the border soon. So we've got plenty of time, and then from the other side we're going to go down to Belize City, which is where we're hopefully ending up tonight. So I will take you with me. I'll show what it's like to cross the Mexico-Belize overland border in February 2022, and hopefully it will be helpful. Okay, we're in Belize. The border crossing was actually quite painless. We went to, where did we go? We got a taxi to the border from Chetumal, and then we took so they sort of took us off across for all the Mexican customs, and then we got to the Belizean side of the border, got our bags out the taxi, and then the other taxi driver met us, so that was all good. Oh, I think our bus is here now. So yeah, got to Belize safe. I'll give more of a thorough update later because I think our bus is here. Hi, so it's quite a bit later. We are in Belize City. The border crossing went well. Obviously I just couldn't video much at the border, and then we got on a bus the other side really quickly, and I didn't really want to get my camera out on the bus and stuff like that, so didn't have that much of a chance to video, but I did get a few little clips which I will intersperse here and there as I explain how we crossed the border. So I'm not sure where I started last time, so I'll start at the beginning. So we arrived into Chetumal last night, got an ADO bus to Chetumal from Playa del Carmen. They go from Cancun to Lum, Bacalar, places like that. Got into the bus station and got a taxi to our hotel. We stayed at the Fiesta in Chetumal, which was a really nice hotel actually, and it cost about £40 a night, so like about $55 a night. Really nice hotel, had a gym, had a pool, stuff like that. So actually we would have quite liked to spend a couple of days there, and we might do on the way back up. So yeah, that was really nice. And then this morning we just jumped in a taxi outside the hotel and asked him to take us to the border. He really overcharged us. We paid 700 pesos, which is like $35 or like 28 quid. And it was like a 15-minute drive to the border, and then he did stay with us for a bit because he had to drive us from the checkpoint to the actual border, but people don't normally pay that much, so try and not pay that much. First they checked the car, so our bags were in the boot and they checked the boot, yeah, and that was fine. So then we went to the next point, which was the passport check. So they checked our passports. When you go into Mexico you get this little slip. You have to keep that with you. If you don't, I mean, you just have to pay a fee, but it's definitely recommended to keep it with you. So they took that, stamped us out of Mexico, we got back in the car, and then he took us to the actual border, which is where all of the sort of getting into Belize starts. So then we left the taxi, paid him, got our bags. He obviously then drove back to Chetumal. And then we went through the process on the Belizean side. So the first thing that we had to do was, well, if we hadn't already had insurance, we would have had to buy insurance there and then. Now, you can't use your regular insurance in Belize at the moment. You do have to buy specific insurance for Belize. So we had to pay $18 to buy insurance. We actually did it the night before. There's a website you can go on. I think it's just Belize Travel Insurance or something. And we paid for it, sorted it out, but then we got a confirmation email and a screenshot, so we could skip that step today, which did mean we obviously it took us a little less time. Next step was COVID test. They do a lateral flow test. The person does it for you. They explain everything. It's quite straightforward. So they do a lateral flow test. You have to pay for it there and then. You can pay with card, and it was $50 per person. So then we had to wait in this kind of quarantine area for our results, which took about 20 minutes. Then they came out and they had a certificate for both of us to say that our test results were negative. Next step, we had to like show that to someone, and we'd already filled out a form about like, you know, our COVID vaccines and things like that. I don't think you need to be vaccinated, but there was something on the form that said how many vaccines have you had, and yeah, so I'm not really sure about that.
So these rules have actually all changed since we were in Belize. So now if you are fully vaccinated, you don't need to do a test. You just need proof of your vaccination. So as you can see here on the Belize Tourism Board website, it completely explains all of that. And there's actually loads more Q&As as well. So you can check that out if you're traveling to Belize soon, because obviously these things can always change. If you aren't vaccinated, or if you can't provide proof of your vaccination, then you will have to do a COVID test, and this is, I presume, the same procedure as before. As you can see, there's all of this on the Gov UK website as well. It's the same procedures as before. It's $50, and I presume it's just the same process.
We filled out those forms and gave them to another person. That was all fine, and then we got in a taxi. Now we had pre-arranged this taxi. There were people at the border who were offering taxis for reasonable rates, but there have been stories of there being no taxis at the border, or taxis that are like charging like $100 to drive 15 minutes. So it's a bit of the game of chance. So we just jumped straight in this taxi that we'd pre-ordered. I can put his number. I'm going to write a blog post about everything, so I'll put his number and all other information in this blog post. So we jumped in this taxi, drove a few minutes to the actual kind of customs bit. So then we went through that. So that was just immigration. We had to show them our insurance. And then we went through, you know, customs, and they just checked our bags and stuff. We weren't asked for any hotel bookings, but I have heard that people have been asked them in the past. However, I think they've streamlined it a bit more now, because now you can stay in, I think you can stay in any hotel in Belize, but I think before they had to be registered hotels, so I think it was a bit stricter a few months ago, but now it's a bit more relaxed. So then we just got back into the taxi. We'd already said to him, can you drop us at the bus station? And yeah, then he took us to the bus station, and we got on the bus really quickly, and it was only $5 each for the bus. Bus took about 3.5 hours maybe to go from Corozal, which is the nearest town, to Belize City, which is where we are now. So that was it. We got to Belize City, checked into our hotel, and then we ended up walking around trying to find somewhere to eat. Couldn't find anywhere to eat. So hot, and we hadn't put sun cream on, and I was like, I'm getting burnt. And it was really quiet when we were walking around. It almost had a bit of a eerie atmosphere, but anyway, we eventually found somewhere, and actually it was so nice. We ended up on like this rooftop of a hotel. Really nice food. It had a pool. We didn't have our swimming costume with us, so we couldn't go in the pool, but it had amazing views over like the whole city, so that was really cool. And the food was actually really good. It had a whole vegetarian menu because the woman who ran it was vegetarian, so that was really nice.
Use again.
We ate food there, that was quite cool, and then we came back here and I've just been doing some work for a couple of hours. Now, as you can see, I'm ready to go out, so we're going out for dinner and some drinks in a bit. I hope this video has been useful if you're crossing the Mexico to Belize border. Obviously things are changing all the time at the moment, but I hope it's given you some indication of my experience and, you know, what it's like. I've actually found it fine. I was dreading it a bit, but actually didn't have any problems. So I hope all of you have no problems as well. Hello, I'm back in Mexico. and I thought I would just add on another extra clip onto this video because I have a few more things to say. So we did the trip in reverse. We travelled from Belize, the Corozal on the Belizean border, to Chetumal last week. So we got the bus from Belize City back up to Corozal, and we actually pre-booked a hotel in Corozal because we had heard that the border closed at 4 p.m. and we thought, oh, it's too much of a rush to get over the border at 4 p.m. We may as well just book somewhere, and then we've got somewhere sorted out. Because, I mean, Corozal's not exactly like full of accommodation options. It's not a huge place. So we thought we'd just book somewhere, get it sorted, and then we would cross over in the morning. However, once we got there, we were told by a taxi driver that the border actually closed at like 10. So we could have made it across. But never mind. We stayed in Las Palmas Hotel, which was fine. It was just a basic room. There wasn't really anything wrong with it, but it was a lot more expensive than accommodation in Chetumal, and our hotel in Chetumal was so much nicer, and it was like nearly half the price. So I would recommend getting across to Chetumal if you can, so you can make use of, they've got some really nice hotels there. So we stayed in Corozal for a night, and then we went back over the border. The man who ran the hotel actually called a taxi driver he knew, and we got to the border for 25 Belize dollars, which is $12.50 US, which was so much cheaper than the other way around. But they only took us part of the way, and then we actually ended up having to jump in another taxi and going the rest of the way, but the other taxi only charged us 10 Belize dollars. So in total we spent 35 Belize dollars, which is 17.50 US, which is half the price than what we paid on the way there. The guy who drove the second taxi we took actually left, he gave us his card. So I will just see if I can focus it there if you want to take a screenshot of that. He was really helpful. He helped us get a taxi on the Mexican side. He told us the right prices to look out for and stuff. He seemed like a really genuine guy. So I would definitely recommend his services. I'm not sure how much he would charge from the border to Corozal, because we only used his service to get from sort of one checkpoint on the border to the next, but I trust that he would give a fair price. If that didn't work with the screenshot, I'll put his details in the description as well. So he, as I say, he helped us find a taxi driver on the Mexican side. We paid 200 pesos to get from the border back to Chetumal. On the way we paid 700 pesos. So yeah, we definitely were way overcharged on the way there. So I would 100% recommend, like, don't settle for less than, well, don't settle for 700 pesos. Don't make our mistake. Taxi should probably cost anywhere between 200 and 700, but yeah, try and get the price down if you can, because the taxi driver that we found on that side was more than happy to pay for us to pay 200 pesos, and she even waited for us as we went through the whole immigration procedures. So yeah, 200 pesos. So that was all fine. One other thing to mention is in Belize we had to pay an exit fee. I can't quite remember what it was now, but I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna put it here. And when we got to Mexico, we also had to pay a fee. Again, I'm going to put exactly how much it was here. I paid for both of those things by card, and yeah, that was all fine. If you fly into Mexico, that cost is included in your ticket, but if you cross a land border, it's obviously not, so that's why you have to pay that. So other than that, got in the taxi, it took us to Chetumal, and we stayed at the Trip by Wyndham Hotel. It was really nice. It was a really nice hotel room, huge bed, it had a pool, it had a little restaurant, and yeah, it was a really nice place to stay, so I definitely recommend there. I also really like the Fiesta Inn that we stayed at before. I'll put the links for all of these hotels in the description below. They are affiliate links, so if you use them, I do make a small commission, but it's at no extra cost to you, and if you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate if you use them. So I think that's about all I had to say. Then the next day we went from Chetumal up to Merida. From Chetumal you can get buses to Merida, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Cancun, I think that's Bacalar, and maybe a few other places. So hopefully that's proved helpful if you're going to or from Belize to Mexico. I guess I will hand you back over to Claire from the past now. All right, see you next time. Bye.